Close your eyes. Go on. Do it. Close them. Now imagine for a moment that this is all that you can see. Imagine that your eyes will never open and that you are forever blind. Open your eyes. Now pretend that you can't hear, that you can't have a conversation with your best friend, or you can't even listen to your favorite song. Finally, just imagine that both are true. You can't hear, you can't see, and you are lost in your own world full of endless, dark silence. Helen Keller lived like this since she was 2 years old, never knowing the sound of her mother's voice, or even the sight of a smile on someone else's face. And unbelievably, she learned not only how to cope with her disabilities, but she overcame them and surpassed all expectations. Helen Keller deserves praise because of her courage in the face of adversity, her accomplishments despite her disabilities, and for being a beacon of hope and a shining example for disabled young people everywhere. Helen Keller first deserves praise for her bravery. Her courage matches even that of the bravest of warriors, for no warrior goes into battle without his sight. But Helen Keller was always willing to take on the world, no matter the cost to herself. This is evident in her outspokenness about women's rights and the rights of workers to unionize, protest, and express themselves. Some called her crazy, communist, and exceptional in all areas but sanity. The editor of the Brooklyn Eagle was one such person, stating that mistakes sprung out of the manifest limitations of her development. In other words, she was wrong because she was deaf and blind. Because Helen Keller stood up and defended herself against these claims, she deserves a Medal of Honor. For she dared to say what no others were willing to. In addition to being courageous, Helen Keller was also extremely accomplished. This is the second reason for praising her. Despite being blind and deaf, she learned Braille and sign language and, with the help of her instructor Anne Sullivan, also learned to speak. Just think, without ever hearing a single word, Keller was able to mimic the vibrations that she felt along another's throat and formed words. Could you have done that? Could any of us have done that? After learning to speak without ever hearing, Keller moved on to higher learning and attended college at the Cambridge School of Weston. She graduated cum laude. By the age of 22, she had mastered multiple forms of communication, including Braille, finger spelling, touch lip reading, typing, sign language, and of course, speech. Within the end of the year, she wrote her first book, The Story of My Life, and throughout the rest of her life, she was known as a powerful social reformer and an advocate for the disadvantaged. For this reason, she deserves the highest praise that any one person can possibly give her. Not only was Helen Keller courageous and accomplished, but she remains even to this day a role model for millions of disabled individuals everywhere. showing that no matter what obstacles lie in one's path, they can be overcome. Helen Keller lived almost her entire life blind and deaf, but she never gave in. She deserves praise because this fortitude allowed her to be accomplished, courageous, and a role model for all future generations to come. Now close your eyes. Picture a world without people like Helen Keller. Without people who struggle for acceptance. Without people who break down barriers. And without people who strive to be the best that they can be. Is that really a world in which you want to live?